Hey, Mike here with That's Good Enough For Me.com. I'm doing my Who's Zoomin' Who series. I'm pleased to be with Dave and Colin from Sum 41. How are you guys doing?
Good.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. I've been a big fan for a long time, so this is exciting for me. I guess really to just open this up, your band is one of the bands that I've talked to throughout this series that essentially hasn't slowed down since 2001. So I just kind of wanted to reflect on this past year. This is probably the longest you guys have been inactive. Is that correct?
Yeah, kind of. There was a point between 2000, I want to say 13 to 15, where we were kind of off the road for about 18 months to almost 2 years. That's kind of when, like in 2015, that's when Dave came back. And so, yeah, this is kind of rivaling that time, but in a different way. Like this is obviously a forced, hiatus for everyone. The other one was kind of on our own terms. We kind of needed a break for ourselves. Yeah, this is a little different. Obviously, every kind of band, I guess, is going through the same thing we are. It's probably a longer break than anyone wants to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And to just kind of stem off of that, the latest record, you guys got a little bit more time to showcase your new record than some of the other bands that I've talked to. I interviewed Pears, was like my first interview, and their record that came out last year, it's excellent, but they didn't get to support it at all. So I just kind of wanted to talk about where the band was sitting when everything kind of started shutting down.
Yeah, I mean, we were just wrapping up. I think we were about I think we were like 5 or 6 hours away from flying to Mexico. And then we finally got the call that was like, okay, we can't go. We might not come back. And sure enough, if we had gone, we would have been stuck there for what, like 2 to 3 weeks?
Yeah, it would have been bad.
Although, do you get stuck in Mexico?
Yeah.
Or you just get oh, we had a good time for like 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we Order and Decline to come out. We had already done our American tour. We'd done a Canadian tour. We'd done our European tour. We really only had like Australia, New Zealand, Mexico to do. And then we were going to go back to Europe and do some festivals. Mm-hmm. But, we still had 2020 was still a full year for us. And we canceled it all. Like we did January and February in Europe, and then we had to cancel everything else like everyone else. But we're kind of, I would say, more 3/4 done the touring cycle for that, maybe.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, Order and Decline is fantastic, by the way. I had the privilege of reviewing it on Punk News, and it was one of my first reviews with the site. So I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! I'm so excited to get made fun of in the comment section for liking Sum 41." But fantastic record. That's the best thing you guys have put out in a very long time. And there's like a cohesion to it that I think speaks for itself. So good job. I like that record.
Thanks, man.
And I'm going to tell the 3 viewers of this interview, I'm going to spare you, Cone, from telling the story about Does This Look Infected and the guitar tracks again, as we had discussed it on the Talking Records podcast with my friend Jed, who I met the same time you did. But we kind of went into a little bit more detail about how you had to actually physically re-record the guitars to Does This Look Infected after finishing the project. So, Dave, you were the first person I thought of when I heard about this, because playing guitar solos, there's emotion that goes into it. I think it sucks the most for the lead guitarist to have to re-record something after they're done and happy with it. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that.
Well, I mean, truth be told, we didn't even get to leads yet. We had finished all the rhythms and a lot of overdubs, maybe a little bit of octave playing, so like some kind of flavors here and there. But then getting back to Toronto, we were playing the tracks back. Derek was trying to sing to them, and it was just like, oh, these guitars are out of tune. And we were just like, oh, well, what do you mean? And then we just had people telling us like, oh, yeah, it seems like maybe the air conditioning in the studio we were at, the air conditioning was based on water. So we think it was the humidity that was knocking the guitars out of tune. It was like, oh, yeah, word? You don't think it was the cocaine ears? that wasn't doing it. And then so basically it was just like a kind of like a music factory. Like I'd track guitars. Cohen had to come back from a vacation. Like, where were you? You were in Aruba?
No, I was at my dad's cottage, just like up in Halliburton. I wish I was in Aruba. I would have not come back. You would have played bass.
I would have done bass.
Yeah, no, I wasn't too far. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like I was saying, Mike, in the other podcast, is like we spent 6 weeks or 2 months in New York City recording this whole album, basically.
Yeah.
We got called to come back and re-record the tracks over them. We were given like 4 days. It's like 4 days.
Yeah, literally, like from morning till like morning, I was doing guitars just straight. As soon as I fired off a guitar track, it would go to Derek in the other studio. He'd start singing so we could make the deadline. So that record is like, that's a rushed effort.
Definitely.
It sounds great. It's a great record. It's probably my favorite. But yeah, that's a very interesting story. I as a musician was always that one where like you get a shitty take with lead vocals or the guitar's out of tune, but you just like argued with the engineer. You were like, no, it's fine. And then you grow older and discover like, oh man, I was so impatient back then. But I don't know. I think that kind of makes that record what it is. And so yeah, thanks again for revisiting that. Dave, without getting super serious or anything, I just kind of wanted to have a small discussion about like growing up in rural Nebraska and listening to pop punk music as pop punk music was becoming more mainstream. You were one of the lone persons of color that played guitar, and it wasn't something that most of me and my friends even noticed, but it was something that the assholes that I grew up with like brought up immediately. So I just kind of wanted to talk about racial diversity in punk rock music in general, especially when pop punk was hitting its mecca.
Well, I mean, once I stepped outside of the world of music, like being around like the guys like Cone, Derek, and Steve, it's like that's where kind of the comfort zone ended. That's where the possibility of being a person of color could kind of work against me. But I spent so much time with people that never really viewed things that way that I saw it less and less as I started playing music than I would say when I saw it as a kid or like in my early teens. And as far as it being like a struggle, like I don't really see it that way because I don't really have any other perspective other than my own. But the fact of the matter is that punk rock and heavy metal, rap, these were the things that we all kind of got into as kids. And I was drawn to punk rock and metal for sure, scene wise, because it was probably, there was like I think it was almost like you could just have a t-shirt that somebody knew and you were instantly friends. Like kind of like how like old school skateboarders would see like a skate company on somebody's t-shirt and be like, oh, what do you ride? What do you, this, that. It was that kind of exchange. And yeah, sure. There were some gnarly times with some of the skinhead and kind of like white power gangs that kind of ran around Oshawa where we grew up. But other than that, I mean, it's just stories. You know what I mean? I've got way more stories about the good times than the shitty times. Good.
No, that's great. I had a discussion with a local podcast yesterday just about like when I moved to Lincoln from my rural community, there was one woman that played in a local band here, and it was weird. Like it was just like, well, where are all the women at? And where, like. So just to look back and see how much music has grown in the last 20 years, I think is really a positive side of history and something to think about. But it's something I wanted to ask. So Cone, I was going to ask, I think this was when Dave was without the band, but you guys went on some tours with Darren Pfeiffer, who was a guest on my show and as you know, kind of a crazy person. I wanted to talk about that. I've tried to like attain YouTube footage and stuff because I'm so interested in the concept of Darren playing Steve-O's drum parts.
Yeah, he did. It wasn't a lot. Like, I think there was maybe 3 or 4 shows. It was kind of the transition of starting the band back up again. Did you play any shows with Darren and like when you're
No. I just missed Darren. I think when I was back, I think that was when you guys played Chain Reaction with Steve, or with Frank.
Frank. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it was like, yeah, we were starting to fire back up, and obviously Steve was gone, and we didn't totally know what we were going to do, but Darren had been calling and contacting Derek quite a bit over the 2 years we were off, and really wanted to at least try out or, rehearse with us for a little bit. So, obviously we'd known Darren a long time. We toured with Goldfinger quite a bit back in 2001 and everything. So yeah, he played a couple shows, but Derek also knew Frank Zumo really well, and he was a good friend. And I think that I guess Frank just ended up being in the band, and I don't know what the whole logistics were. I think Frank it just fit. Frank came in and knew everything and just fit as a person. And we're still really good friends with Darren, but I think it just worked out with Frank.
Yeah, we both actually did covers with Darren. Like, didn't you? Yeah, you did. What was the song you did, Connor?
I did Bad Religion.
Yeah.
I did what did I do? I was talking to you about this, Dave. Like, you're saying, like, you have so many covers on the go, and I'm trying to remember everything I've done now, because it's been like a year. But I did The Clash, and I think I did one more. But we still keep in contact with Darren. He's a good guy. But for whatever reason, Frank was like the right guy for our band.
Yeah, now Darren's got this, the punk rock karaoke thing, which is massive. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah. No, and it's been like, I talked to Jesse from Days and Days, and he was talking about live streams being like just this tiny little shot of a real show injected into your blood, so looking forward to seeing things like that. And MXPX has been very active. They're going to perform every song they ever wrote on their YouTube channel. And it's just these tiny little things to look forward to. And punk rock karaoke is fantastic for that.
Darren used to make a kid eat a Twinkie out of his ass during the Goldfinger. I was afraid, if he joined our band, that was going to be me.
Yeah.
I did. Like, that's kind of a gag that I'm not really into, like me eating a Twinkie out of Darren's sweaty ass.
Yeah, halfway through a set.
No, he talked about that on my show. He said he talked about the time that he reached back to get the piece of Twinkie that he was holding with his ass cheeks, and the whole thing was gone. And the guy took his tongue. Damn. That was one of our more interesting interviews, as you can imagine. The places that Darren is willing to go.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
And I had Frank's name written down in my notes next. I wanted to talk about him, especially just complimenting his drumming on the new album. It really, really completes the songs for me. He does things that no drummer in punk rock is doing, and just his choice, his sense of taste is just all over the place. It's fantastic. So yeah, hell yeah, Frank.
Yeah, I mean, Frank is probably his work ethic is insane. Like, he basically gets up on tour, and he's basically, I think he just thinks about drums all the time. He's one of those guys that never shuts off. He just, from the second he gets up, it's drums, drums, drums. Workout, drums. Eat, drums. It's like everything's revolving around drums. He loves drums. So I'm not surprised that he's as good as he is, because that's all he does. He's a drummer, and he's phenomenal.
Yeah, man. Actually, I've been working on a cover with him. We're working on a Rage medley, which is going to be cool. It's with Bert and Jeffer from The Used.
Nice.
So that's going to be out soon.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just when you were promoting the new record. There was some sort of video of you guys doing some Metallica covers. I think it was like maybe 45 minutes of Metallica covers or some medley or something. And I don't.
The Sirius XM thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I just remember I walked up to the bar. I walked up to the bar, and a buddy of mine that's a drummer here was like watching it on his phone. He had been drinking at the bar all day, and he's like, "Look at this guy." Because he was playing those. I don't know dick about gear, but he's playing those like indestructible drum heads with those indestructible drum sticks.
Yeah,
you wear the gloves. You know. He's like, "Look at that guy." He's like, "That's the most fun you can have as a drummer. Is like being in a situation like that." Where it's just like, hey, beat the shit out of this to Metallica. You know, like, awesome. Yeah. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And he's so skinny, but he hits so close.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he knows exactly what he's doing and how to do it. And it definitely has made Sum 41 just kind of advance beyond where you guys already were. So to rewind, Dave, I wanted to talk about the Brown Brigade record and project. As soon as I found out you were going to be joining us today, I was like, oh, I got to see if this is on Tidal or something. And it was. So I was able to revisit those songs. You have a long discography of sick riffs, but the riffs on this project are just like church to me. It's like,
oh, thanks.
So man. Good.
Thank you. I in all honesty, I have because I had to sing on the record, I have a hard time listening to it. But I do love playing the songs, that's for sure.
And when you guys performed, were you able to pull it off, like playing all those riffs and singing at the same time, or did it take a lot of adjusting?
Well, I mean, the singing parts are over the guitars aren't super intricate. It's not like a Megadeth record or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty easy to do it. But yeah, I just don't like my singing voice unless there's an actual lead vocalist in front of it.
Yeah, I'm in the same place.
Yeah,
so I understand.
Yeah, I feel you there. Then.
Cool. Well, I really enjoyed that project. I was sad that you were gone when you were, but of course I was very excited when you chose to return to the band. I wanted not to talk about why you left or what you were doing when you left necessarily, but more like. Tom from Gob is obviously legendary and a very, very talented, good fit to replace you. So I wanted to talk about when you came back in, you know, how was the re-divvying of riffs? I watched the video online of you guys just kind of showing some of your favorite riffs from the band, but I wanted to talk about, you know, you get back and you take an album like Does This Look Infected? And you're like, all right, who gets the sick fucking part on this song?
It was so easy. The two of us are so easygoing that it's more of like, I don't know. It was just more a sense of like, hey, did you play it on the record? Yeah, I played it on the record. Okay, so why don't you play it live? Okay. And then, hey, this kind of sounds cool. This would sound kind of cool if you put a harmony on it. And then, of course, because it's Tom, he'll have a harmony in 2 seconds flat. And then, yeah, there was no friction whatsoever, which is wild.
No, that's great. And I thought about that immediately because I watched some live footage of you guys playing some old stuff. But then I was like, oh, well, now they can have 3 guitars on their record. Yeah. Like, Does This Look Infected has 3 guitars in it all over the place, but they can do it unapologetically now. And, of course, you delivered with those 2 albums to follow. So great work with that. Wow. Who came up with the 41 Salute? Was that something that somebody came up to you with, or was it something you guys actually came up with on your own?
No, I'm sure Derek came up with that. That's been a long time now. I think it was just something he came up with and started doing it years and years ago, and that's just kind of stuck.
It's genius. I mean, it's so cheesy, but like to tell a large crowd of people to flip you off. I mean, you're going to get the answer you want. So
yeah, it's easier.
Moving on,
than actually flipping us off.
And Lovers and haters unite and flip us off. Next, talking about the new record again, and the one before that, 13 Voices. You guys are some of the only artists that are actually putting out real music videos still. And I wanted to talk about that because it's a great thing. Virtually nobody does it anymore. And if they do, they kind of half-ass it and make it a lyric video or whatever. Is there just kind of a uniform sense of pride in music videos? Do you guys choose to keep doing them, or is it more of like a labeled thing?
Well, definitely. I mean, the music videos we're doing nowadays are a fraction of the cost that we used to do them, which I think is good. You know, when I think back to how much money we spent on videos back in 2001 and 2002, it's like, it's sickening, the cost of those things.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, In Too Deep was hundreds of thousands of dollars to make. So, you know, the budgets for these things are way less. It's just trying to come up with creative ideas to still make them look cool and exciting on, you know, $15,000 budget. And yeah, I think, you know, part of what, you know, our band and what people like about the band and remember about the band still is the videos that we did, you know, way back. And so I think, yeah, I think we take a lot of pride in the videos and the ideas and what we're going to do. So yeah, we still like making them as long as the labels keep paying for them.
Cool. No, that's a good answer. I took a dive through your music videos, you know, to kind of prepare for this and remember that. And I definitely saw that arc. And we talked about this in the Talking Records podcast where, you know, All Killer came out. You had this $100,000 music video for In Too Deep. And then Hell Song's just this like budget video.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about, you know, your imagery with the celebs in the Hell Song video versus the imagery on the Fake My Own Death video. Both of them are hilarious. But from what I've gathered online, the celebrities in one video are ashamed of the video more than the other one.
Well, there was some, like, you know, Hell Song characters that declined to be in the video. Like, we had to clear every single character, like every little figure. We had to get our label or manager or lawyer to call that person's lawyer to clear their action figure. And then there was some people, I think, okay, you know, I think Eminem declined. I think is Michael Jackson in it?
I think MJ declined, didn't he?
I thought he declined. Yeah, I know. There's a bunch of people that declined.
Rodney Dangerfield declined us for a second time. He first did it on In Too Deep.
It's shocking that guy has an action figure. But I got to get that one. But, you know, and then Fake My Own Death is different because I think the way I understood it was we just kind of went ahead with it without getting any permission. And that's why, you know, that the cat with the, what's it called? The rainbow.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
That guy did not want to be in it. Like, once we released it, we had to censor it out.
Yeah, he hit us with like, hey, please cease and desist. That is art to me, and I don't want that to be used in your music video. It was like, dude, it's a cat in a Pop-Tart shitting a rainbow. Okay. Art, you know what? Saying it out loud, yeah, it is art. And he's right.
It is art.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny with that stuff because, you know, basically we're promoting their stuff for free.
Yeah.
The Eminem action figure and all these other action figures, like, we're basically, I mean, that video ended up getting, you know, nominated for a Much Music Video Award, you know, so that video got played and played and played, which people got to see these action figures constantly on TV. It's just free promotion for them. I never understood it, you know, for that reason. I'm just like, you know, you guys have these action figures. They're already silly enough, and you don't want to be in our music video. It's kind of a little strange. And the same as the stupid rainbow cat thing too.
Yeah, we're lucky we asked first in the Hell Song, because like Fake My Own Death, it looks like a redacted government file.
I know.
Well, and I liked, I think it was Pork and Beans by Weezer, where they brought all those like YouTube Star Wars kid, like all the people that got famous on YouTube for embarrassing things. And Rivers like put them all in a music video, and they were all on board because it was Weezer and because they were these kind of losers that got famous doing something really stupid. So I like to think of the Fake Your Own Death video as kind of like a darker kind of reverse version of that, where it's like, we're going to have Kim Kardashian's ass crush one of you guys, you know? And was it you?
I beg for
that. It's a
one.
good video. The breakdown on that song, the bridge on that song, the guitar parts that's one of those moments where I was like, these motherfuckers have 3 guitars now and they're not afraid to use them.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite part of that entire record, is that little bridge on that song. I wanted to talk about, and Cone, we had talked about this on the podcast, but the diversity of Sum 41's discography. And, you know, let's talk about Fake Your Own Death and compare it to an Underclass Hero song. They sound like different bands. You had said that you guys don't want to sit in the same place for too long. I just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we've kind of always done in our career, where we've never really tried to re-record the same thing over. Like, you know, it would have been easy for us to go after All Killer and make more Into Deeps or more Fat Lips, but we decided not to. You know, I'm sure the record label at the time was maybe hoping for that. Like, you know, that album went so well and sold so many copies that they're probably like, oh, hopefully they just make another Fat Lip. But it's just not what we were kind of into. I think we just make music, and the style of music we make is kind of just representative of where we are at the time and what we're kind of into at the time and what we're feeling. Don't try and like outsmart our audience or anything. It's just kind of, we try and make what we like, and hopefully people like it too. Now, not trying to think like, well, will radio play this kind of music? Maybe we shouldn't play. Maybe we should record poppier songs because radio's playing poppy stuff, or, you know, stuff like. We never think like that. We just kind of make music the way we want to make it, and whether maybe the next album, you know, who knows what the next album is going to be like. That's how crazy our journey's been as a band. We don't even know what the next album is going to sound like because, you know, we're not there yet.
Yeah, we're a lot more ego driven than business savvy as far as music goes.
That's a perfect answer.
Yeah,
I wish more artists were like that. So I applaud you. Future albums was my next note. Do you guys have any songs written? You guys even been able to get together in the last year?
Yeah, no, we, you know, no, because we all live so spread out. But there was, I don't know, Dave, you probably remember, but it's like 4 or 5 songs that were recorded for Order and Decline that weren't on that album, right? It's like 4 or 5.
Yeah, there's some B-sides. There's some B-sides kicking around for sure, but I don't know if they ever got past the instrumental stage or even into overdub stage. So there's some songs kicking around, but you know, if you know, I know Derek, and I know that he's in that studio every single day working. So
yeah, I'm sure, you know, I'm sure some of those songs, there was some good songs I thought that just didn't make it onto Order and Decline because they just didn't like fit the album. But I still think there's some pretty good songs that will. I would think a couple of them will probably make the next album if I was a betting man.
Great. Look forward to that. Paris Hilton recently went in the news to kind of talk about some criticism she got from Dave Letterman when she went to jail. And the footage that's all over keeps showing this clip of her getting out of her car and Derek's in the car with her. And I keep laughing about it because so much time has passed since that video footage was made. But there he is. You know, he's like a baby. He's like tiny shirt. He's got sunglasses on. It's just been like all over my newsfeed. So yeah, in closing, I think Cone, you shared one of the festivals in Europe. They're attempting to schedule it later this year. So it looks like there might be some shows on the horizon. What are your thoughts about that? Are you nervous about it getting canceled? And, you know, how eager are you guys to get back out on the road?
I think we're both eager, eh? Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
we're ready.
Yeah, at the same time, like, we really want it to go on, but we don't want anything to be pushed as far as people's health and safety to go out there and be like, yeah, I want to play my guitar in front of a crowd. I've been sitting at my house for a year. To value that over, you know, the fact that it might not be safe to go on stage, I think that's kind of pig-headed and shitty. So I don't know. I really, really want it to happen, but at the same time, I totally get it if we're at a stage that doesn't need live music at that point.
Yeah, we're pretty realistic about it all. We're just, you know, we're going along with, you know, the festival and as it is, but, you know, come, I'm sure July or early August, I'm sure we'll get the final word if it's going to happen. You know, like Dave said, like it's not safe, and the vaccines, you know, the rollout of the vaccines aren't where they should be, and not enough people are vaccinated, and all the case numbers are still high, and there's a lot of deaths. Obviously, you know, we're not going to go and stuff 20,000 people in a field, sweat and breathe and spit and all over each other. That seems kind of just insane to me that could even happen right now.
Right.
So we'll see.
But I will say this, though. I will say this. When I was younger, when I was around like maybe 13, 14 years old, I saw footage of Reading, like the Reading and Leeds Festival, and I always wanted to play that. And around 2014, 2015, I had heard about Slam Dunk, and I was like, I want to play this festival.
Yeah.
So roughly around, maybe it was even 2016, but it was like, that's kind of like my new Reading and Leeds. That's a new goal.
Yeah.
White whale.
Cool.
So if it's got to be 2022, don't drop us, Slam Dunk.
Yeah.
All right. Don't forget us.
They're one of my 3 subscribers, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to talk with me today. I was able to get out a lot. Oh, how did you guys come up with your name? It's so interesting. Okay, anyway.